Welcome to Health Matters. I'm Ryan O'Connor. This is brought to you by Cipla. Very exciting series of episodes as we are joined by a man who's been there. He's seen it all. Dr. Konrad von Hagen. He's a specialist in the field of sports medicine and particularly around our super athletes. And when I think super athletes, I think of the Springboks. Doctor, it's so lucky to be chatting to you around some important issues. And it's nice to actually see you in one place. I normally see you and you're all over the world because you've traveled with the Boks for many years, keeping them at their prime condition. But we forget often as a spectator how hard it is, the job that you have in keeping the players 100% or thereabouts. And some of them are only 90% by the time they run out there, but keeping them in tip-top condition. Injuries are rife, and we see them happen to the world's best players. You've seen it in firsthand, and it is a big concern. It's specifically in rugby as well.
Yeah, I thought today we're going to chat a bit about the illness prevention side.
Yes, correct.
And a lot of things we did on preventing illness going into the 2019 World Cup was already what we later did for COVID.
Yes.
So we were already doing what we did before COVID came. So that was a good. So we'll talk about that, and then also Injury Pacific. How do we do that? So as you say, it is rife in the Bok camp. If you don't train on a Monday, you don't play on a Saturday. So you can think
that's rough.
Going into a World Cup. Nah. So we were fortunate enough that, and I think in our World Cup campaign we had one guy that missed one day due to illness. And on a Monday, out of the 33, we would have 31 to 32 training all the time. So there was a lot of hard work put in beforehand, and that's what I'd like to share.
Absolutely.
And I think what we need to realize is that's not just for the elite public. You as a person at home, because it's basic things that you just need to be right and you need to be committed.
And at a school level as well. There's a lot of that information, as you said, that can be shared and can be utilized by everybody.
Absolutely, yeah.
How do you go about, where do you begin? So you get given an itinerary and you get told, right, listen, these are the dates we're traveling. We look now at the World Cup, and already in your mind, you're already doing calculations going, and that'll come naturally for you because you've been there and done that. Where does the process, where do you begin?
So the process would begin at, let's look at the illness side.
Okay.
So how do I make sure we don't get sick?
Yes.
And it's a very simple way of thinking about life. It's like, eat well, sleep well, stay away from sick people.
Simple.
Simple. Then, once you are sick, tell me you are sick.
Yes.
And if you're not eating with a team, make sure you make good choices in your food.
Got you.
So it's very simple things that you can look at to keep yourself healthy. So for us, we've got like an app. So in the morning, I'll know if any player says he had a bad night sleeping and he's having a headache and sore throat. So he won't be part of the team until I've seen him.
Got you.
And cleared him or given him his own room to keep him away.
Okay.
We'll talk a bit about sleep later as part of our recovery.
Yes.
And also about our nutrition there, our eating. And then it's one of those things is that you need to look after yourself all the time. So looking after myself, I don't shake hands.
Sure.
And I also tell the players I'd rather have like a Bluetooth fist pump, not even a fist pump. No? And even before COVID, we had gels and things everywhere to wash our hands and keep our hands clean. And we're fortunate we travel with a dietitian that go and make sure our food are safe. And our areas that we work in are safe.
So, Doc, a lot of the time as well, and before we get to the injury side, you don't see, when you're on tour, you obviously stay together. When you are not on tour, you've got to keep tabs as well, I guess. You've still got to reach out to the team, and when they need you, obviously available outside of those tour, that tour frame. And if they're at home, maybe a little bit of a break between the next fixture, whatever, the next big tour, to keep up to date with you and say, Doc, this is what I'm feeling at the moment, I'm not feeling so great. And then you'll say, right, stop, we'll go see X, Y, and Z. Also, integral part there, communicating that message to players and having that confidence that they can turn to you for whatever it is that they find themselves going through.
Yes, that's one part, but the other part is also building relationships with their medical team. So we've got teams in England, we've got
France,
guys
all
in
over,
France, all over,
Japan.
building sort of a mutual respect, and that when they're with us, we share information with you straight away, and you do the same with us.
Yeah.
So that way, if they're there, we know exactly what's going on. And even their training loads. We know how much they're training, how much they're doing. So that is a big plus. But yes, when they're away, and also with the whole problem about what medication can you take and can't take.
That must be tough. I mean, that's a whole big conversation to have.
Yes, and that's part of our education. And luckily, our pro guys have been through the education system along. So they will not take something without checking, and they all know how to check.
Yes.
But that's actually an easy one, but it's an ongoing one. So even if you're not in camp, you're always in camp.
You always camp, correct.
And if you've got a coach like Rassie on a Monday, he needs to report on every player, even if you're not in camp. So it's good. No, it's good. So you know where your players are.
Absolutely.
Injury wise, and obviously if it's more serious illness also.
Let's talk on this episode, because I know we can go in depth here as well, but on the injury side, because we've now established how important it is to obviously be aware of the controllables to a degree. Injuries, no one plans to have an injury. We don't go, well, doc, I'm going to run out this weekend and I'm going to see whatever, and then I'm going to do some damage to my back or to my knee ligaments. In the case of Nashville, that was the last time. I'm trying to think when you and I, when I was in the same environment, was Jean de Villiers' knee, Brighton, in 20. When was that?
I wasn't there, but I know all about it. That was
the knee. That was correct. Yes. That was the last time I remember being that close to seeing.
This was Craig.
That's right. Yes, that's right. And you don't plan for that. You don't plan for these things to happen. Talk us through preparation and in terms of what's needed from your side ahead of injuries, any possible injuries.
So number one, what we try and do is we do our screenings. So if you would go, before going to a World Cup, you will go to the different teams. You will be in connection with the teams overseas, know exactly where the guys are. If they're with us and we get our hands on them, we'll examine them ourselves. And we'll get our physios to do their part, and then we'll do a physical history and a musculoskeletal screen. And then we can see, listen, your left shoulder is not as flexible as it should be. So this is some extra work you need to do for me. When you're not with us or when you're in the gym, that's some homework.
Gotcha.
And next time we can see, is that getting better? So that is even before you get onto the field.
Gotcha.
Then you are in the gym. So in the gym, specific work that's needed for rugby now.
Gotcha.
And then every sport's got their specifics.
Yes.
So you work on that, and then you'll include things like extra neck work to make sure that your necks are strong. And once you get on the field, then there's the element of change of direction, speed acceleration, all of that, and working in a program so you don't do too much too quick. Gotcha. You work it up slowly. So when you get at a camp, you need to see where the guys are at. They come from all over, see where they're at, and then can we progress the way we want without getting injuries?
Yeah.
And part of that is then screening them all the time while they're in camp. So if suddenly in the morning on that app it says we've got 7 backaches, then we need to go back and see, did we do too much or did we do anything wrong? And you adapt. So it's a process all the time. And so part of that is then on the field as well is to see how they adapt and to monitor their injuries and see that they are able to do what the load we want is there.
Yes.
And then the big part of it is our recovery.
Yes. So recovery obviously is essential, but I must say, Doc, whenever I've watched it, the turnaround time has been immense. You see a player go down and the response time from you and your medical team to get out, assess, prepare, do the things you need to do. It's almost like a pit stop in a Formula One. It runs like a well-oiled machine. But it has to. Your response time needs to be immediate.
Yes, it is. But also we are all well-trained in that. And we have experience. So you know, and you also know your player.
Yes.
So you know if a certain guy is down and then you know there's big trouble.
There's trouble, yeah.
Other one would be a Formula One race motor that 1% is not good enough. So
fire
you
it
just
up
have
again.
to fire it up again. So you need to know your players and you need to know your injuries.
And you need to recovery as well. You touched on recovery.
Exactly.
Massive.
So our recovery happens straight away.
Yes.
So the moment we finish the game, straight through the next morning, getting to the next. So I'll run you through a typical week.
Okay.
So our fundamentals, number one is sleep.
Gotcha.
So we work on our do's. So your bedroom, we want to keep it dark, quiet, cool. So we work at about 19 degrees Celsius.
Stunning.
No? So that is an industrial type temperature.
Love it.
Then we look at your routine, try and go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time. You are allowed to sleep in, but not really more than an hour.
Okay.
Because then you start getting out of your pattern.
Got you.
And then we also look at your napping. So we have got naps in our program. So you must go and sleep. But they are 30 minutes minimum, 90 minutes max.
Power nap.
Power nap. Recharge, get back, but not after 4. So we'll have it between the morning and the afternoon session. And if you're tired, you can go for your nap. Then looking at what you avoid.
Got you.
So the one thing we all do is we watch TV and we
mobile phones, social media,
girlfriends, wives.
Correct.
No? So
not together though.
No. try and keep that
apart.
Yeah. And so try and get that linked, and that's purely that taking that responsibility and saying,
which is hard. I mean, it's easy to say that, but you tell somebody on tour to put their phone and mobile device down for 90 minutes. It's that easily possible task to do, but the guys are disciplined. They got to listen to the doc.
And the reality is, if they now have to tomorrow morning, train at the intensity they have to train. They're not going to get there.
They're not going to get there. They're not going to recover according to the way that you should. Doc, I want to ask you before you continue. I've seen and I've been there where the players get into an ice bath straight after.
That's part of it. It's coming.
Is it coming? Because let me tell you something. There's nothing pleasant about that. But you know what I've noticed is that they do it. They actually realize, as much as it looks so unpleasant, and I put my hand and I've gone, "Are you mad?" But we'll get to that because I'm going to ask you about that.
So on the sleep pods, not coffee too late.
Got you.
So we want to stick away from that.
Yeah.
And then, as I said, if you want to sleep in, you sleep in max 1 hour.
And when you say sleeping in, what's a normal time that you'd get up in the morning? You'd be training.
So my first meeting is at 7 o'clock with Rassi. Then all the sick and ill guys needed to be seen so I can give report.
By then,
yeah. So most of them would have been seen by the night time, but the new ones will pop up before. So then you still have that. But they normally have a breakfast normal time. We want to get them sleep, so between 8 and 9.
Got you.
Then their video sessions start after that, and then the training session, rest, so on. Yeah. So that is. So if we look at our recovery modalities, which is the ISIS one, but we graded them in once we've got scientific evidence and once we don't have. Doesn't matter because we still use them all.
Yes.
And we haven't gone to say is you have to do them all. We have to say what works for you, what keeps you on the pitch. So let's give that to you. So the one, and we did a little study in our players and said which is the one they find the most effective. But we've also got the scientific backing is a massage.
Okay.
So they have 3 times a week. They have a 30-minute massage.
Right.
First one starting on Sunday morning between 9 and 12 after the Saturday. So between 9 and 12, we'll have medicals where we go through the whole team.
Okay.
The injured ones and non-injured ones. Just seeing is everybody on track? Is there anything we can do? So from there, we go on and in that time, they'll to all these other modalities that we'll discuss.
Yes.
One of which being your masseurs. Okay. In the World Cup last year, we had 6 lovely Japanese masseuses that traveled with us, and they helped us. So
they won a World Cup with us.
Yes,
these are the important workers behind the scenes that never ever get. They didn't matter have the medal, but they were part of it.
And a simple thing for even the everyday people: you're playing compression garments. It's shown to be effective.
Wow!
So after match, put on your tights, even though it looks girly. Put your tights, put your stuff on.
Correct, it works.
And even flying.
There's nothing. You see the players on flights, long distance flights, with compression gear on.
Yeah.
Essential.
Yes, absolutely. Then we look at what we call it contrast baths. So you can do it ice heat or just ice. Some guys just don't do it. Some do it.
Yeah.
Medical evidence, we're still trying to find it, but the proof is in the pudding. Most of our guys do it. Yeah. And sometimes it's even a social event. So we've got big baths.
Around there,
all go get in there and chat about the game.
Correct,
So it's an important part of it. Then it's the active recovery. So the next day, go and cycle 30 minutes or get into the pool, do some active things to get your body going.
Yes.
And when you have your off day and you're struggling, go and do some active recovery.
Okay.
Then we'll look at your recovery pumps. I'm sure you've seen them. So it's
those long tubes you stick your legs in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's some good evidence there.
Yes.
Just getting the blood to the areas where they need to. And our medical/physio room has got all of that. So the players just come in and they do. And that's part of that. And they're grown up boys and they want to win, so they do it on their own time. Yeah. So we don't look after them like kids. Sauna is one of the things. We don't have a lot of sauna people.
Sweat it out.
That would be on your relaxed day when you just and it's got a mental element as well.
Yeah.
And then salt baths. I don't believe how many guys take the salt bath in the evening. So the salt are there. They just take them. The guys that like it. And so they would take it. Some would even take the chamomile tea to calm them.
To go and sleep, cup of tea. Yeah.
So it's a whole process. Yes. It's part of your recovery. And then the self-massage, these guns and things.
Yes, correct, yeah.
Big part with that is don't go and massage the injured part.
No, correct,
massage the tight parts.
Yes,
no?
yeah.
And, So that all goes into just getting you. And that's not a single day. That's an ongoing day.
Yes.
And then there's regular evaluation from our side to see, are you on track, are you not on track? And luckily we've got our monitoring system to see if somebody is a red flag for us or not. And because we've got our physios and our doctor, you can pick up something's not right. And in a high-performance environment, if they train, you can see this guy's not performing the way they should. And then they also have their tracking system. So suddenly they have covered 4 kilometers and not their normal 8.
Yeah.
So what's wrong?
Absolutely. Love this very insightful conversation with a man who's got a World Cup gold medal to his name. Dr. Konrad von Hagen talks to us. If you're liking this, remember, give us the thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll be back with more great Health Matters content, proudly brought to you by Cipla.